Hello and welcome to Gladiator Miniatures and Fighting 15s. Today I'm going to show you how to cut out the background on a photograph of some inked miniatures and replace it with a smooth graduated background which will make your product look so much better in the shop. So I'm going to start with one of the pictures I took the other day, which is some crossbowmen, and open it up in Photoshop. And the first thing I do is crop picture, and I hold shift key down to constrain it to square, and I put it out to just about cover the width of the figures. And we go up to image and crop, and then what I'm going to do now is save this as a working file, because I don't want to overwrite the original at all, so it's very important to save that. And I'm saving it as a Photoshop file. If you've got a different art package, obviously use the native file format. Okay, so click off that, and then we're going to go up to layers and pick layer, add a new layer, and then we're going to go over unlock the background, click on layer 1, click and drag it so that it is behind the actual picture layer. And now what we're going to do is pick a new bright colour, something different from a blue or white or any other colour you can see in your picture, one that you will really notice. So what I'm going to do is use a quite bright pink, and then we're going to go over to the paint bucket tool, make sure we're on layer 1 and click. You can see it's filled in there. If I hide layer 0, the figures, you can see the background is pink. The reason for this is as you remove parts of the picture, the pink will show, and you'll see more clearly any bits you haven't yet removed from the photograph. What you're trying to do is leave the figures and take away all of the background. So we click on layer 0, and we'll take off the pink because I don't want that, and we want to put it back to white. Okay, and then switch it around. So for later I've got my graduating blue, which is 100% cyan to white. That's just for convenience. I don't want to do something more in pink. Right, the basic tools are the crop tool, it's a rectangular marquee tool, basically, and for that I'm going to use that just to take, I've got my ellipse on, don't do that, rectangular marquee, and I'm going to take out some of the base. So that's a bit too high, so I'm just going to arrow that down with the cursor keys, just so that it just shows the bases of the figures. You can see they're fairly lined up, and then I'm just going to cut that Command X in Photoshop, and you can see that it has removed that part of the photograph. Then the next tool is the magic wand tool, which is it's a very dirty way of doing this. There's a very sophisticated way of removing a background using the pen tool, but for general purpose stuff you don't need it. If you're doing very high-end cutouts, I would probably recommend you use that, but it's time consuming, whereas this is cheap. If you look up in the tolerances up there, top left, you see it's at 70. That means it's got quite a broad band it will take out. And basically with the magic wand, what you do is then click on a general part of the background you want to take out, in case of the blue, and it will take out the blues within that tolerance band. So if I click on it, you can see it's selected everything around there. It doesn't appear to have taken too much, if anything, out of the pictures, and I go Command X and I cut it, and then we repeat that for every other visible blue area. So there, between the arms, there, between the legs, and there, between the arms. If you're having difficulty selecting the area, zoom in and select it from there, and there might be something in between there. So what we're going to do is now zoom you can see there's a tiny sliver of blue there, which we're going to carefully take out in a minute. We're going to go zoom in a bit more. We can see that's taken out, and then we go, so you can see that's gone. There's a tiny bit of excess blue there. So when I covered the photography of miniatures, the reason for choosing blue, and you can see there's a very fine halo of blue from the background around parts of the figure. Blue, when you've got that as a photographic background, if there's a halo of it, when you have a graduated blue to white background, it will just merge into that background and won't show. So it's not critical to get rid of all of it, just a good amount of it. Right, and you see there's some little artifacts from the black base which I've missed, and what we're going to do here is use the rubber tool to just go in and spot those out, and so they just erase to a clear background. And we'll go over to here, it's probably a bit more obvious, just use the rubber tool to remove the stray bits of base I didn't take out with a marquee tool. And then here, again, just, you could marquee tool a lot of this, but the graduated rubber tool allows you to get up close to the base of the figure and plane away a bit and give a sort of anti-aliased edge. So I can actually smooth away part of the base there. Okay, so that's basically all cut out, and what I'm going to do now is just save that. I could use the hotkeys, but it's easier just for now to do that. And you go, great, I can see another little spot of blue showing, which we ideally want to get rid of between the scabbard and the leg. It is just absolutely tiny, and this is not critical, but you can just go in there, magic wand it, cut, Command X, take them out. So that appears to be our figures neatly cut out and with a horrible pink background. So I'll just save that again. Right, now we're going to change the background layer, and we've got cyan, 100% cyan to white set as I did earlier in the colours. And we're going to go up to where the paint bucket tool is and change it to the gradient tool. I'm just going to zoom out slightly, which is Command hyphen, so I get all of the picture easily with it. I'm going to start at the top, hold the shift key down to constrain the gradient to vertical, and run top to bottom. And that's it. So there you'll have a cutout picture. What I would do now, I'll just save that again, is normally I resize pictures so they're all 1024 by 1024 for the new shot. So I'm just going to go to image size, change the DPI first to 72 for screen, and then change the pixel size to 1024. Okay, and then we can just zoom back in. So it doesn't seem to change it much, but now that means the picture is a uniform size for the shop, and all my pictures are that size, and they're square because that works best. If you have lots of different rectangular shapes in the shop, the pictures go up and down, and it affects how the site runs horizontally for text. So if you see little add to cart buttons going up and down on the site, then you know someone has got differently sized pictures. It just looks neater if all your pictures are the same size and the site works properly all the way through. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to bring a guideline down to around the 800 mark, because I'm going to use this to position the figures. There we are, that's position of the guide. Click on layer 0, the move tool, and I'm just going to use the cursor key to move that up. Again, reason for this is if you're doing, moving sideways slightly, we're doing this so that when you have a line of pictures, you have several lines of figures and they all line up, so they're all on the same baseline. Again, not important, having the pictures line up is better, but it's a nice touch if you can also get some of the figures to line up, because it will make your website look neater. Okay, so that's fine. Click off and save the file. Now that's the save Photoshop file. What I'm now going to do is save it as a JPEG file. And normally at this point I would add what the code is. Off the top of my head I can't remember what the code is for this one because I've already processed this, but I would say change the code. So it's a Renaissance code, and Gladiator Miniatures, so I do GM for Gladiator Miniatures underscore REN, which is the code, and then O, and then the figure code, which I'm just going to put XX underscore, and then times 1024 to remind me what size picture this is. So I know this is a 1024 pixel square picture, and that's it. And save it at maximum quality, because you don't know what people are looking at what resolution they're using on screen when they're viewing your product. So here we are, and that's it. It's exported, and all I have to do now is bring that into the shop. So what I would do, I'll show you what it looks like in the shop. Okay, so we go to the Gladiator Miniatures, Renaissance, and you can see what I've done. There's a whole pile of pictures in the shop. It's got infinite scroll on, so basically the more you scroll down, the more pictures. And you see it's actually REN 044 French or generic crossbowman, and that's how it looks in the shop. And the quick view is like that, and you go, that's about twice the size of the actual figures. So already it's showing them at far greater detail than you'll ever actually able to appreciate when you play with them. And you can see the zoom feature allows you to zoom them up, and that's what, 4 times figure size, and then you can click on it if you want to see the picture. So that's what we worked on, and that's how you cut out a background and make it look nice in Photoshop for your shop. Thank you very much.